Hi folks, this is Gabe at Security.org, and today I want to talk about a huge problem affecting nearly 1 in 4 Americans, identity theft. In today's video on identity theft, I'm going to tell you what it is, how it happens, how commonplace it is becoming, and give you some initial steps you can take to help protect yourself. For more information on identity theft, along with the ability to check out our research, read extra articles and additional guides, head on over to Security.org. Now, this idea of identity theft is rather simple and conventional, almost cartoonish. However, the only cartoonish element of the increasingly sophisticated and complex methods of identity theft is how nefarious they can be. Identity theft is a broad term used for any time someone uses your personal information to your financial disadvantage. Typically, it would be something like your social security number or your credit card number. For example, I had a friend who went to play a soccer match in a different borough in New York, one he didn't frequent too often, and he was actually just buying some Gatorade, and they charged him for that same Gatorade every Saturday for nearly a year. His credit card company never picked up on it. So this is just one of the many ways in which your information can be used against you. And here's some other common ways that can happen. Data breaches are a major culprit when it comes to your information is getting out there on the internet. And unfortunately, there isn't as much you can do about these. In fact, I was a government attorney when the Equifax breach happened, and that affected millions of consumers. In fact, in 2018, there were over 1,200 data breaches of companies in the United States, and over 400 million records were put out, basically for anyone to get access to, according to the Identity Theft Resource Center. Now, where do these data breaches end up? Well, oftentimes they're going to end up on the dark web. And the dark web marketplace is essentially the upside down version of the internet, where you're going to find all the people willing to buy and sell your personal information. Another way people get your information is through unsecure web browsing. This is where you go to a site that you believe is secure, you believe is legitimate. However, it's just a fake version, or it's just some website that really is not a place you should be putting your information. This happened recently to people in my family with the Whole Foods scam, where people thought they were getting a $175 gift voucher, but really the people who made up that website are simply harvesting information. Complementing unsecure web browsing, you have phishing and spam attacks. Now, this may look like an email or a text message from someone you already know in terms of a brand, a company, or an organization that you work with. And they say, oh, we need this additional information for you in order to resolve this issue, or in order to, do this thing that we'd like to do. And you say, oh, of course, I would like to help you resolve. We all like to help people solve problems. And boom, you've now handed over your sensitive information through text or through an email. Now, the final digital element I want to talk about today when it comes to taking your data is malware. Now, malware is malicious software generally made by somewhat malevolent actors in order to steal your information. So you think you've just downloaded a program, or you've downloaded something that someone has sent to you that's going to be funny, but in fact, you've downloaded a program that's going to record every single keystroke on your computer, and it's going to send it halfway around the world so people can spy on you and get all of your personal information. Now, beyond these digital strategies, you just have physical items that can be used against you. You have credit cards. You have your credit card lifted. People can generally buy a ton of things before anyone knows anything about it. You could have your mail intercepted, and it may have sensitive information where people can use that to start an account in your name or start a credit line in your name. And you also just have your mobile phone, which I am sure for many of you holds a ton of crucial, sensitive information about who you are. Unfortunately, identity theft and credit card fraud are growing problems in the United States. According to the Federal Trade Commission, in 2019, over 3 million fraud reports were made, and identity theft topped the list. In fact, nearly 1 in 4 Americans have been victimized by identity theft, and nearly 7% of Americans had it happen to them in 2019 alone. When it comes to credit card fraud, nearly half of all Americans have experienced this, and 18% of them had it happen to them in 2019. Now, this trend has not gone unnoticed. In our 2020 digital privacy study, 71% of consumers that we surveyed said they were either concerned or very concerned about how protected their personal and financial information is or is not. Additionally, 14% of consumers said that they were planning to buy either identity theft protection or credit monitoring services in the next 12 months. Some of our key findings are that nearly 40% of Americans are just using their personal computer for their work. They're not using a business computer, and many of them are not using VPNs. In addition to that, we found that record numbers of Americans are ordering their food and groceries online, downloading new apps, and signing up for new services. But very few of them are actually following the recommended digital privacy guidelines, like using different passwords, using a VPN, disabling geolocation data, and really doing themselves a disservice when it comes to privacy. Now, if you want to see our complete findings, head on over to Security.org. Now, say you've checked your credit monitoring report or your free annual credit report and you see that your number has just diminished, you haven't opened any credit cards or you haven't paid anything late. Well, you may be a victim, and let's talk about what you do in this situation. So for one, you're going to want to begin assessing and mitigating the damage. And that means contacting your banks, your financial institutions, any organizations with which you're involved, potentially locking your accounts. You're going to want to check all 3 major credit bureaus. You're going to want to reach out to the Federal Trade Commission. Make sure you have filed a report. And if necessary, you're going to want to reach out to the proper legal authorities. So now you might be asking, what steps can I take to protect myself? And do you remember how we used to act with antivirus? Well, I need you to keep that same energy when it comes to data security. And part of that is just having great online hygiene, things that we've implied throughout today's video, like using different passwords for different sites, or making sure that you're on a secured network, or making sure a site is legitimate. You want to verify that you're at the authentic page for that organization or bank or financial institution before you supply it with any of your personal information. Now, of course, even among the most diligent and vigilant among us, we may have some issues, and there are some commercial options to supplement these practices. You have identity theft protection, you have credit monitoring services and credit reporting. And just remembering that you can be as diligent as one can be and still slip up, but we have to ensure that we're taking all the steps we can, all the precautions necessary to keep ourselves safe. So ultimately, everything that we've gone over today in our look at identity theft and credit card fraud is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much to learn. I know I'm constantly learning about these issues. And if you'd like to see our research or just get more tips and guides on how to keep you and your family safe, head on over to Security.org. Now, if you appreciated today's video, give us a like and hit that subscribe button. As always, this is Gabe at Security.org. Be secure.